you know what I'm realizing? I spent years telling myself I didn't have time for things, like things that I wanted to do, things that, didn't make money or that weren't productive or in some way going to better my life other than just pure joy, right? Like I didn't have time to learn how to play pickleball or learn how to make the perfect Indian curry, which I still haven't figured out. Like all of these little things that to me, I would have loved to have taken the time to do, but I just told myself, like, not now, I don't have time for it. And the ironic thing is that now that I'm retired and I have all the time in the world, I'm still not doing those things. And yeah, what I'm realizing is that it really had nothing to do with time at all. And there's a few other things that I'm realizing now that I'm like in the first 6 months of it. Like every day I wake up and there's a new, moment that I wanted to catch you up on because I think these are really important things to think about for yourself. You may not have the same experiences that I do, but thinking about these things now, no matter what point in life you're in, whether you're retired or not, can set you up for a better tomorrow. So let's talk about it. And I wanted to share these revelations with you because I know some of you are like, on the verge of retiring and you can't wait to get to said destination because you think the world's going to be so different on the other side. And I've said this before in other videos, and I'll say it again because it's worth saying again, that's not always the case. And the more you're aware of those things now, at whatever stage of life you're in, the more agency you have to make changes immediately or change your mindset at the very least. So let's unpack it. Let's start this off with time and this feeling of busyness. Because even now that I have arguably all the time in the world, I have zero things that I have to do on a weekly basis. I could do anything. And yet I still have those moments where I feel like I don't have time. And it usually comes up when it's something I know I should do and that would be really good for me, but I don't really feel like doing it in the moment. Like yoga today. I rolled out my mat before I started filming because that always just makes me feel better physically and emotionally. And I was looking for a yoga class to do. And I thought, well, I don't even have time for a 30-minute class. And it's like, I could do a 4-hour class if I really wanted to. I do have the time. And in that moment, it made me realize, oh yeah, like I'm still in that mind frame of dismissing things that are important to me, but because they're not necessarily productive, I will say that I don't have time for them. And in that moment, it made me realize how often I do this to myself. Another one would be pickleball lessons. I wanted to start playing pickleball years ago, but I didn't have time. Really, I had time. Doing like Pilates reformer classes. I've always looked at them and thought that looks interesting. People say they're great, even though they're ridiculously expensive. But I always told myself, oh, I don't have time to like get ready, go to a studio, do an hour-long class, come home, blah, blah, blah. And I did have the time. And I have the time now, but I'm still not necessarily doing them. And I've realized that this is actually two different things. Part of it is this mindset that still keeps running in the background where I tell myself I don't have time to do things, even though I do, working or not. But the other part of it is me convincing myself that I should do things I'm not inherently or intrinsically interested in doing, and then using a lack of time as a reasonable excuse for not doing it. So I don't really know what the fix is for that, or if there is one, other than really just paying attention to the things I'm saying to myself in the background. Like, I don't have time for a full yoga class, or I don't have time to cook a healthy dinner. I actually do have time for those things. I just don't want to do them in the moment. And sometimes that's okay too. And sometimes we do legitimately not have time for things, obviously, but more often than not, as it relates to my own life, I have had the time. I'm using that as an excuse for another reason. And I don't know if that lands for you or not, but if there is something that you've been putting off because you say you don't have time for it, I would just love to challenge that. Like, is that really true? Or is it that it's just not that important to you right now? And also, if you had like a full weekend with zero commitments, would you give yourself the time to pursue whatever it is you're thinking you'd like to pursue? Or would you spend it doing other things? It's just something worth thinking about, because that cognitive loop stays in your head. This is my coach talk now. And it becomes this thing that you just keep kicking down the road, but never actually address. And then the next thing I've noticed, which is related to time, but in a different way, my relationship with mortality has completely changed. And again, I've only been retired for a couple of months, right? So God forbid, I hope I don't get hit by a bus tomorrow, knock on wood. But in terms of like the potential of death, based on being older, it's not there. I'm the same person I was from a health perspective a couple of months ago. So then why is it that I am contemplating my own mortality so much more? Well, I think part of it is I just have the time to do it more, right? Like when you're working, you're constantly thinking about all the things you have to do in life. You're thinking about work and all the other things that are important in life that you have to fit around work. It's amazing how much cognitive energy goes towards work. And when that's gone, you have all of this open space to think about things. So why is my brain immediately going towards mortality? I think another piece of it is that retirement is kind of like the last major milestone that human beings go through in their life, whether it's like being born and then going to school and, getting a job, getting married, having kids. Like this is that last big transition. So there's still a lot more life to go, but we don't really think about more milestones or transitions after our working life. So maybe that's what makes me think about it more. But it has made me realize that at the ripe old age of 55, I don't have that much time. Even if I live to be the average age that women in the United States in particular live, which is 78, that's like what? Less than 20 years. Is it less than 20? 55, 65, 75? This is me doing math in my head. Yeah, just over 20 years. Just over 20 years. Like I remember when I was in my mid 30s, like it was 2 days ago. So I've only got 20 years on average left. That sort of boggles my mind. And you might say, oh, you will probably live a lot longer than that. And I do have a lot of health practices that would hope to ensure that. But the reality is also that my gene pool does not really prove to be longevity seekers. We die early in our family. So I would be lucky perhaps to have another 20 years. And with all of that said, it really does make you appreciate the time that you have going forward. And with that new appreciation, so again, none of this is sad or morbid. It's actually really crystallizing because now that you realize that you've only got a certain amount of time left, you become far more judicious with your time and picky about the things that you do. And that's not to say that I fill every moment with stuff to do, because I don't. I love a good bed rot, and I will bed rot for about 60 to 90 minutes a day. I love it. That's when I scroll Instagram or when I just sort of take a nap or do whatever, laying down horizontally in my bed. Love it, love it, love it. So, but I do that intentionally and I choose to. I have less tolerance for doing things that I don't want to do anymore. I was taking a memoir class. It got really boring. So I had to ask myself, do I want to finish this? Because it's not like I'm getting a gold star at the end. And if I didn't feel like I was learning anything, was it worth 3 hours of my evening every Tuesday? And the answer to that was no, life is too short, man. And I'm still writing the memoir, but the class is gone by the wayside. And I'm not feeling guilty about stuff like that anymore. Even as it relates to the people you want to spend your time with and how you want to spend your time, what you're doing, it has made me realize that this is so important, both now and it was important before I retired, but I just wasn't thinking about it that way. And with that said, if I could bottle up the awareness I have now and like gift it to my earlier pre-retired self, I would be so happy, because that person would realize that staying at a job she didn't like to get to retirement faster is not doing it the right way, right? For me. And I would have made a lot of different decisions. I don't spend a lot of time regretting, but I can see how it would make things better for myself in the moment. And I say that because I know a lot of you are just like biding your time until you retire because you hate your job. And I'm not suggesting you blow up your life or anything like that, but look for opportunities to spend your time more wisely, because it is precious before you retire and it is really precious after. And I wish I had that awareness or wherewithal before I got where I am now. And then the last thing that I've been thinking about so much, and this is something I've always thought about, but has become far more immediate and important to me, and that is my health, but more specifically, like my mobility and my agency to move around the world and do what I want in any given moment. Because my highest value is freedom and independence, sometimes to a fault, But in order to, really enjoy and embrace that value, I need to be able to get up and move around. And the reason it's become more important and urgent to me recently is that my husband went out for a hike and broke his foot or his ankle. And he is completely incapacitated. This happened like 3 weeks ago. We had to cancel a trip to Mexico, our flight back to California. He can't leave the house. He's rolling around on a little tricycle now and just barely, getting around with crutches. And it's just very like glaringly obvious that like one small move can change your independence completely. And he has lost his entirely. And granted, he's doing really well with it. I know I would be having meltdowns by the minute, but it makes you really aware that everything you do for your body is just a little investment in this health and mobility and longevity and vitality bank account that you have. And I recognize the irony in my husband breaking his foot doing something healthy. But generally speaking, I think that every time we do something for our bodies, we are gifting ourselves a little bit more independence and agency to really live the life we want to live. So these are all the things that have been coming up for me lately and that I've been thinking about and realizing that I didn't take seriously enough pre-retirement because I wasn't thinking about it. So I just share that because life is so short and precious, and I'm so grateful to have the life that I have and have the agency and independence that I have. And I want to keep this as long as possible. And I want all of us to have that. So anyways, those are the thoughts that I've had. And I would love to hear from all of you. When you first retired, what are the things that you started thinking about and realizing that you would have loved to have gone back and told your pre-retirement self? Because I know there's a lot of people watching this video right now who are pre-retired and they need to hear this. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.